What's going on, guys? It is I, once again, Coach Dom, and my beautiful co host, Coach Keanu Adams, today with another episode of the No BS Fitness Prescription Podcast with the Unhinged Approach. Today, we have an amazing guest, a friend of mine for probably over 15 years, online and off. We both kind of came into the space at the same time. She started in a different field. She'll tell you more about that. And now she's gravitated into one of the hottest spaces out. We have the wonderful Ali Gilbert, aka the Boner Queen. How are you doing today?
That's such a great introduction. Has it really been 15 years? I feel so old now.
It's been up there. It's been up there.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, right? Like when I tell people, I'm like, yeah, I've been coaching like almost 25 years. Oh my God. Yeah. It's a long time.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm happy to be here. Very excited.
Yeah, we're happy to have you because, I mean, the topics that we're going to discuss today, primarily men's health and testosterone and living optimal, like that is something that you have definitely taken by storm, right? And for a lot of people, they're going to look at it like, well, first and foremost, she's a woman. How can she even tell me about, me and what I have going on? But for those that don't know, Ali is a wealth of knowledge. She's created something beautiful out there called the Silverback Summit. And we're just going to deep dive and answer some questions, some facts and fallacies. And we're going to keep it real and let you guys know what it is. So, Ali, first and foremost, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and yeah, let's rock and roll.
So I won't bore anyone with boring details, but basically grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, went to school for exercise science. And then, everyone who graduates with that degree wants to work with athletes. And that's a crazy market. So I came back home, worked at a commercial gym, and worked with a ton of dudes who played golf. And I was like, well, damn, there's 9 golf clubs in Greenwich. A lot of these guys play golf. They can afford to train. They take it seriously like athletes. Maybe I should learn about golf, which I knew nothing about because I played soccer. And I was like, let's start learning golf, and bartered with a bunch of people that I trained in the area, and then went into the Titleist golf fitness certification, and then was the golf fitness person. And that brought me all men as a clientele. And then you realize that no one talks to them about their energy levels, libido, hormones, all that stuff. So the discussions would kind of turn away from golf to I feel like shit. How can I last longer on the course and in bed and other things. And blood work was like a foreign word. And this is back when you could not buy blood work online. I mean, this is how old we are. So I was like, this is interesting. No one's really talking to guys about this stuff. And I realized that being a female, I had a way of disarming them because they would not open up or be as vulnerable, at least from my point of view, in front of a dude who's maybe jacked or somebody that they wanted to look like or emulate or something. So I was like, wow, I'm having really open, vulnerable conversations with guys who probably didn't get the right blood work or logically listen to their doctor, but their doctor was more of a conventional medical approach and they maybe got dismissed by a doctor or just never went, because most guys don't go to a doctor unless it's a crisis. So I was like, well, I guess I'll specialize in men's health because I was more of a tomboy and I enjoy talking about sports and cars. And I did not really get along with a lot of the Greenwich housewives that were into like couture and designer things because I do not buy designer clothing. So I related a lot easier to the guys.
Awesome. So knowing that, you felt that you had that switch that you could turn on with more men in that approach, what were some of the things that like got you going into that field of talking them to more about, their health? Like you mentioned blood work. So were there certain things, because of course, way back then, like you said, you couldn't really get labs as easy as you could now, but were there certain things that you had them look at? Like, how did you dive into that aspect of it?
I just started studying it. There were doctors locally that I would like literally go to their office and be like, can I hang out with you or learn from you? I would go through their testing process. I would seek out different functional medicine practitioners, naturopathic physicians, just kind of every area just to see like what the process they took for health was. And this is more of a proactive approach, not necessarily insurance-based practice. And then I attended medical conferences, would study just men's health and physiology and blood work and learning how to read blood work, and then mentoring with people. Like it was a lot. It wasn't just like, oh, I watched the podcast and now I'm an expert, like
Right.
many people do. I ended up speaking at a medical conference and just developed a network of physicians that I trusted that I was able to refer clients to, and then go to the lab, go to their blood work appointment when I could. And this is back in Connecticut before I moved online, to learn from what they would be told. And you start to quickly understand like who's full of shit, who's out to sell stuff, and who really cares about the client and their long-term health. And then you kind of start to connect the dots like, wow, this actually affects training. And then training and nutrition and blood work, when they're all integrated, you could actually expedite the results of somebody and truly time collapse, because we don't know what's going on inside. Like we can test them in person, or we can have somebody video like a toe touch or whatever, see how they move. But we have no idea what's going on inside unless we test. And too many people want to guess, and guys especially, they're just like, I feel fine, I don't need to get blood work done. And I'm like, that's a reason you should get it done, to see like how are you functioning optimally. And then we have a baseline to compare it to for when things do start to go sideways, if they do. So
Okay.
we got into it. Yeah.
When you would attend the appointments with the person, was the practitioner and provider receptive to that?
Very. I had a very good relationship with Dr. Stephen Murphy in Greenwich, and I actually had started a business with him where we sold high-level blood work tests that were, comprehensive hormone panels, genetic testing, micronutrient testing. This was all before you could buy it online. So we had a LLC, and we would have people be able to buy this online from us. And then this is like 2012, 2013.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then buying blood work online became like mainstream. So we divested the company because it was not like our full-time thing. So we didn't put 100% into it. We had to charge a little bit higher than what people could get it for online. So I didn't feel good about that, because I was like, we can't provide a service that they deserve with the price point that we're charging, and they can get it elsewhere. And this is becoming like mainstream. So, but he was all about it, like teaching me what he could and everything. So typically people are quite receptive to collaborating when they see things in a similar way.
Yeah. Before we get into testing, how did you get this entrepreneurial spirit, like mindset?
Don't know. Probably because like I grew up raised by my mom, who worked very hard. And I also, growing up in Greenwich, growing up with a lot of wealthy people, growing up with or going to school with a lot of people who were given a lot of things, I saw what it could turn people into. And I just never wanted to turn into that. It made me very uncomfortable if people would gift me things that were expensive. I dated a guy who gave me like an Amex attached to his, and I never used it because I was like, I can't do this. Like if someone gave me a car, that would feel extremely uncomfortable for me. Like if I didn't earn it, I didn't appreciate it, and gifts are not my love language. So I think I just felt like the gratifying feeling of working for what you're able to achieve by yourself, and being able to do things that maybe other people weren't doing, such as like diving into men's health as a chick, I guess. So I just
Okay.
never wanted to be the person that was sitting back and everything's just handed to me. I can see what that can do to people. So,
Okay. Can you describe the like what are the symptoms and like what is that person complaining of before you feel like they need blood work? Like what leads up to that?
symptoms of something specific or just anything?
Symptoms that you need blood work to see if something is affecting their training. Like what is it like what would that person be complaining of and what type of blood work would you do like if in the golf setting? Like what were you seeing?
So usually it's lack of energy. So like, the guys that I was working with, they would take, 5, 6 a.m. train to Wall Street, get home at like 8 p.m. They would mainline caffeine. They were drinking alcohol. Like sleep wasn't really something they paid attention to. So it was always lack of energy. And that's going to happen with life. A lot of the times they just may not have symptoms of things, but you want to be able to see. So like, for example, how does their body handle blood sugar? Do they have blood sugar issues? And it doesn't even have to be pre-diabetes. It could be, are their insulin levels all over the place? What are their metabolic function numbers looking like? What are their hormones looking like? Cardiovascular, because there's a lot of things that you can rectify with nutrition and training. So typically guys who have low energy, who have fatigue, suffer from suboptimal thyroid. But if you get your thyroid tested and you get the range and you're told you're good, I'm in range, I don't know how many times people have been like, yeah, I've got my labs back. Doctor said I'm good. I'm like, that's cute. Send it to me because I'm good or I'm in range or I'm normal doesn't mean shit, because that means you're going to be lumped in with everybody else in America. There are ranges that are more optimal where we see clinically that people just operate at higher levels when they have higher levels of certain hormones. And it doesn't mean that you have to supplement with these hormones, but you might need to. But it's just seeing, right, what are some other reasons why you feel the way you do? So if your thyroid's in the tank, that's going to affect testosterone. That's going to affect cholesterol. It's going to affect blood sugar. And you can't really like out diet or out train your way out of that. And if you're constantly dragging ass and then you're living on energy drinks like I do, there's no end in sight with that. And so there's just a way to get people to feel a lot better without having to dig so hard. And they just literally have to get blood work done. And it's great to see, like, where are we?
Yeah.
What's our starting point?
Yeah, because I can attest that like I went through certain things like years ago when I found out that I was dealing with like depression and anxiety. I had never gotten blood work for that. It was just a therapist had told me those things while going through life. Don't want to dive too deep. But once I did get blood work, right, I found out that like my testosterone level was beyond super low. My estrogen level was super high, thyroid, things like that, and my insulin. But I wouldn't have known that without getting the blood work, right? You were one of the first people that I was like, hey, what do these things mean? I was like, here are my labs. And you were like, well, you need to get these labs. And then that's when I started to dive deeper, because a lot of people, like you said, they don't know. They look at, everybody's like, oh, just go to your doctor. But people don't understand that like your doctors only know what they know. There are actual people that study those things on a higher level. And most men, they just think, well, I've got these numbers, this is what they are, then I'm good. But you're still walking around not feeling optimal. You're not, like, people laugh every time I'll make a post and I'm like, hey fellas, did you wake up with an erection today? I'm dead ass serious. But to get people to have the conversation, you have to joke about it, because most aren't that serious. Like for men, that's a big deal, because if that's not happening, then other things aren't functioning well, right? If you're not waking up with an erection, you probably got some other shit going on. If you have a spouse, your sex life's probably not great, which therefore leads your confidence is probably in the shitter, because you're not doing the things that you feel you should be doing as a man. And then, as we know, the circle that we're in of people that do exercise and train, majority of people don't exercise and train. So there are so many different levels to it where it is like every man, and we can say women too, should want to be living optimal, right? There's always that saying of forgot who said it, but it was like you should want to know at some point in your life what it's like to have the best body and mindset ever possible. And you really can't do that without the blood work because you don't know.
No, I love that. And people, they just take kind of the doctor maybe that they're working with's word for granted because they're like, well, it said I'm fine. And I'm like, yes, but, and they don't know what they don't know. And the primary care physicians or certain physicians that they go to, like you said, like they're just trained to keep somebody from not dying. So they're not used to longevity or getting somebody to feel as good as they can. And it's just not what they're educated in. It's not their fault. But you want to feel okay the rest of your life. And honestly, if somebody's testosterone levels are through the floor, everything else is in range, but it's on the lower end. You have someone who's in their 30s, in their 40s, whatever age they are, they don't feel good. That, in my mind, is more malpractice because you're going to let them go out the door. Or worst case, it's because they have similar symptoms or anxiety, depression, all that stuff that can be hormonally driven, but they're handed a pill to Band-Aid it. Or if they're not getting good erections, well, here's just Cialis, have a nice day. Cialis can be a great thing, just not one Band-Aid to what the problem is. So stress impacts men with their libido a lot harder than they realize. And sex drive can just go completely downhill when guys are stressed. And guys try to push through. You're a man. You get it. You internalize. You have to produce constantly. There's a mass amount of pressure. Like that is what you guys are historically evolved to be able to do. So you're not going to talk about like, I don't feel so good. Like, maybe I should get this test. Like it's the sign of weakness in society, even though it's not weak. So that's what guys are conditioned to think though. So they don't think, oh, this actually is a red flag. They're just like, I got to push through. I got to push through. Once this calms down or once work calms down or, I get a break, then things will, no, you have to like step up and address it now before it becomes a problem. And blood work is great for guys to get because you have something tangible on paper because guys need to see proof like, oh, actually you might not live for the next 3 years. Are you okay with that?
Right.
So.
And like you said, like people can look at blood work in labs and it's like, if your doctor's telling you, hey, you're good and it's baseline, somebody else that, it could be, you could send your stuff to somebody else like I did. And when you get that phone call and they're like, hey, are you okay? And you're like, well, yeah, I'm okay. My labs are good from what my doctor said. And then it could be something different. And like you said, like a lot of people aren't taking that into consideration that like all of this comes down to like your lively timetable. You could be shortening your lifespan without even knowing it because you want to wait. And waiting is not the best thing because, as we know, tomorrow is not promised.
No. And it can't be easier to get blood work done. Like, you don't even have to go to a doctor's office. You could have someone come to your house. Like, it's really that easy. You just go to a lab core, make an appointment. There's no doctors. Don't have to talk to them.
Really so when we were talking about, let's talk about as far as like the numbers, right? We know that there are different levels of where men should be with their testosterone. And then we also, I would say, I don't think a lot of people know that your numbers can be high as well. And you still feel like shit and how those things correlate with, your thyroid and other things and other receptors. Can you give the people like those baseline numbers and where you should want to be?
Yeah. Like our grandfathers and fathers, like their range on labs for testosterone would start around 350 and go to 1100. And all the labs like Quest, LabCorp, there's a few other companies, have lowered that range over the last 10 to 15 years because guys are showing up with lower and lower levels. So now it's a lot more difficult to be labeled as somebody who your testosterone's great. So it starts like some of them are at 187 or 220, and then it goes to like 800, 900. But most guys operate really well with their levels like 700 plus. However, that does not mean the holy grail. Like if you have test levels of 800, because we've had guys who naturally have had that. You also have your free testosterone, and then free testosterone can be impacted by certain things. Are you dieting hard? Are you a low carber? Because that's going to affect your thyroid output, or it'll increase what's called sex hormone binding globulin that binds your free testosterone and estrogen. So that's where the nutrition and the training and everything comes together. And then thyroid being suboptimal will come down if you're super low carb or in a calorie deficit. Because blood work is a snapshot in time, but it also gives us insight into what's going on so that you can take steps to change things and then redo it whenever you want to see, okay, are we headed in the right direction? Are we on the right trajectory? Because then we can determine, do we need medication? Do we need more supplementation, or is it just pharmaceutical intervention? Like you can determine which path that you want to take based off what you've tried. So it's not just here's a pill, it'll fix everything, go inject, it'll fix everything, all your dreams will come true. You actually do have to work at it depending on what the goal is.
Do you ever get, I know you mentioned that like being seen as weak and having something like wrong with guys, like that's hard for them to deal with, but once you give them like the proof, they're able to buy in a bit more. So once you have that evidence and then they do need to supplement or they need pharmaceutical intervention, do you have men say like, hey, they don't want to take steroids or anything like that, and you have to educate them on it? Because I feel like that's a common misconception.
It is. I don't typically, because guys who are either clients of ours or who do consults, they followed me for a while. They understand my message. They understand the educational route that I take to let guys know this is not like going on steroids. It's more the misconceptions and fears surrounding prostate cancer, heart attacks, and strokes. And honestly, the number one thing that keeps guys from going on testosterone is the fact that they have to be on it the rest of their lives. They just don't want to commit to that. And that I have to really discuss with them, like, yes, however, if you come off, it doesn't mean you drop dead. Like you can come off. It just might not feel so good. So I can't say we've had clients or I've consulted with anyone who has gone on testosterone, had that reservation and been like, yeah, I just want to come off. Like they get used to it. It's like brushing your teeth. It just becomes habitual. So once they get over that, then they realize the benefits far outweigh the negative of doing this for the rest of your life. With the steroid thing, it's more determining where they're getting this. Is it their friends? Is it something that they just have had like their preconceived fear about? But you have to tell them like, well, the difference is in the dosage. Like, yes, testosterone is used in conjunction with steroids for bodybuilding, but at doses that are bazillion times what you'll be taking. You are taking a therapeutic dose, which is literally designed to bring you to where you biologically should already be, nothing more. So does not mean that you will turn into a bodybuilder overnight. And that does not mean that you're going to be susceptible to issues bodybuilders have. And I even go as far to say, like, bodybuilders who are on much more testosterone, they still have to go to the gym and do the work to look the way they do, right, and take other things to look the way they do. So it's not just the testosterone.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are under that misconception that just because you're on steroids or enhanced, that your life is just easier. Like the weight becomes lighter. Like you don't have to still eat the meals, get to sleep, do the work, recover, right? Everybody just thinks, oh, well, they're doing this, so That's why they look like that.
Oh,
They're
100%.
they're putting in so much work. It's ridiculous.
It's ludicrous. And people don't realize, like words do hurt. I mean,
Yes.
especially on my social media. Like, I mean, my trolls, for me personally, that's a whole nother discussion. But like when we throw up like client before and afters and people are like, TRT, how much is he on? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, you have no idea what this man has been through, the work that he's done. Like, when people throw around like they've been natural for so many years, like, I don't care.
Right.
Like, the work is the work. Like, people are going to have to put it in, whether you're supplementing or not, or you're on TRT or not. There's plenty of people in the world that are on testosterone that you would never guess by looking at them. They're still slobs. They're still fat. Like, you can't tell. And people just can't differentiate because they want to project their insecurity of their inability to actually get their shit together by saying, oh, well, he's cheating or he looks like this because of that. Okay, you take it and let me see what happens to you.
Totally
I
agree.
It drives me nuts because then you're dismissing the work this person's put in. You're discounting what we have done to help them get to this point. And you know what? If someone needs testosterone, they need testosterone. It can be life-saving, life-changing for guys. No one bats an eye when women go through needing hormone replacement, but apparently when guys go on it, it's like, God forbid, we all freak out.
I try to tell people, like, because of course I primarily work with women and then athletes. It's like, yes, women go through menopause and perimenopause, but men have andropause as well. And it's like, that just gets swept under the rug. Like, it's not a real thing, right?
Yeah.
And yet we talk about so much in society how a lot of men these days act like bitches. Men aren't the leaders that they're supposed to be. Men aren't the providers and the warriors, and everybody's soft. Well, that comes down to fucking testosterone. Like, if you don't feel like the warrior king that you're supposed to be, probably got to fix that.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. I don't know. Like, I'm a traditionalist. I appreciate chivalry, like, the Renaissance man, whatever you want to call it. And that seems to have like gone out the window. People don't really appreciate that. They think now it's like misogyny or sexist. And I'm like, how did we get here? Like, make it make sense. Men will always historically want to protect and lead and should have that ability and should feel like they can. And this is in no way dismissing women becoming more independent. Like, if anything, I'm extremely hyper independent. I do not want to be the boss when I go home. And a lot of women feel that way. So I think that a lot of guys have been painted as being, beta, pussy, like soft guys. There's a lot of soft guys. And I think part of it is just the way they were raised, or maybe they didn't have exposure to a strong male figure, or they don't have the testosterone in them from a very young age to be able to operate that. Like, it's not factory installed.
Right.
So they be taught that. And that's okay, but like, let's not make that a bad thing. At least that's just my opinion. So
I agree with you.
After somebody is on like whatever intervention you deem is necessary, what ways do you help them with their habits? Because if these are like high level, like CEOs, executives, like how much does being on whatever supplementation or intervention, how much does that impact their results when like they're still maybe like sleep deprived or not getting enough rest and things like that? How do you deal with that?
So if they do go on TRT, it can help with sleep. That's one of the things it self-corrects. The number one thing they notice is the mental clarity. So they don't have the brain fog that they've been struggling with. So that actually helps them execute at a higher level. They're quicker to make decisions. They're basically not like, going back and forth. Like, they're just like, nope, making the decision. A lot of the habitual things that we have to help them with are just time management, schedule, travel, and all of that. So it's a hot mess when somebody has to fly every single week and everything goes to shit. And they have come from coaches that told them they have to pack 12 Tupperware meals with them. Good luck telling anybody who lives that type of lifestyle that they have to prep all their own meals. Like I tell them, go to the gas station, get a Core Power, like have a protein shake. Like that's a foreign word to them because a lot of the times they've been with bodybuilding coaches who were having them live like a bodybuilder. And my question to them is like, why can't you have a shake? Like, are you stepping on stage tomorrow? Like, you can have processed food. It's okay. Like, people lose their shit. Don't get me started. You know how I am. Sour.
But I want to go there.
I want to hear it. I think the people need to hear it.
I feel like a lot of the people that demonize processed foods, food is good, food is bad, supplementation, don't even work in the nutrition coaching space. So they don't understand or realize, like, you're trying to tell somebody that actually works with fucking people what is good is what is bad. I'm like, have you ever been to like a nutrition workshop or a fitness convention? Like, what were the ones we used to go to? Club Industry, all the other ones. Everybody had fucking Tupperware and food with them because that was just how it was. Mm-hmm. And it's like a protein shake is not going to kill you because that may be where you are. If you eat like shit, if 5 of your meals are Chick-fil-A and I can get you next week to eat 4 of them and 1 is a shake, we're headed in the right direction.
100%.
If people don't want to take into account, like, people's lifestyles are really like this. I've had clients that 3 bottles of wine a night, 6 Cokes throughout the day. They got to stop at a gas station to get food because that's the time that they have. And it's like nobody thinks like real life matters. And it does.
No, they don't understand the realities, the demands, the scheduling issues that people deal with. Like, it's so much easier now to change someone's religion than it is their views on nutrition. And you said it right. It's like people who are they're watching podcasts and now they're an expert. So they have to give their opinion. And the one negative thing that they see, they cling on to it. So I just have to ignore them. And listen, like back in the day, I was guilty of talking about eating only organic. And like, I joke now, like, get a cow that was blessed by a monk and shipped over here from Korea and like treated like a princess. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. But I would say stuff like that because that's what my peers were saying. Right. And I had this epiphany of like, why am I trying to please my colleagues? They're not our clients. And I can't tell you how many times guys say, what drove me to talk to you was you talked about getting food at gas stations. That's my reality. I was like, awesome. Because we don't give a fuck if you have to literally run into a gas station to get beef jerky. I don't care what's in it. If it has protein, we're going to be okay. We're not eating it 12 times a day, every single day, 365. You'll be all right.
I think part of the problem too is that you have all of this abundance of research that's being put out there. And like you said, people listen to a podcast or they may like read a textbook, get a certification, and then they just start spitting out like facts about what's like optimal. Like you should, like they spit out like physical activity guidelines, for example, and they make it seem like people have the time and the resources to be perfect with that. So instead of being like realistic, they're more so like just throwing one size fits all solutions at people instead of taking the research and bending it to fit the person. So I always say like that's how you know if somebody is like good at what they do, if they like know their shit, but then they can apply it to the person in front of them. And I think you do a really good job of that because like, yes, it's better to have clean foods, but like if you're on the go flying multiple times a month, that's unrealistic.
It really is. You have to adapt to the person. And, I think also being older, like I'm 44, our head coach is 46. Like I think our youngest coach is 38. So we've been doing this a long time where you realize like you don't have to eat every 3 hours. You don't have to adhere to a diet that has a name. Like if a client comes to us and they want to be keto, you also have to understand what they think keto is, because a lot of people think it's just low carb. So understand, okay, are you actually strict keto? Like, do you have certain genetic issues that you're like, why are you doing this? And it's usually because their friend did it, or they read about it, or they say they feel good, but now it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? You're trying to train in a way that demands the use of carbs, and you're lean enough to where you should be eating more carbs, but you're afraid of carbs because the podcast and society made you afraid of carbs. So that's what we're up against. And no wonder everyone's so confused. I don't feel like our industry does a great job of helping unless you're listening to people like us who are like in the trenches with people every day. So it's good that there's podcasts that have guests on them talking about the realities of the everyday like busy person, because if you were just to look in the window of like maybe what we're having clients do, you may not agree with it, but have you tried to understand the reason?
Right.
So I always try to understand, like, if I see someone doing an exercise in the gym that is ridiculous, I might be like, you know what, maybe they're dealing with XYZ or whatever. Like, until you understand why the person is doing something, you really have no right to judge, even though people are going to judge no matter what. That's how they are. They
Right.
judge by what you look like, everything. Yeah.
It's crazy because you see so many people, and I always try to tell people, like, I legit have epilepsy and I don't even do full keto. Do I eat lower carb per se most of the time? Sure, but it's like now you have people are like, oh well, I'm doing dirty keto. Well, that didn't work for you because your ass doesn't even do clean eating, whatever you want to call it. Then they're like, oh well, I'm now doing keto vegan. How the fuck does that even work?
What's that?
I don't know, but people say it. There's people I've seen people dirty keto, clean keto, half keto, keto vegan, and it's just like, what if you just tried to like get your habits better and eat better?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do these little things, you know, like, I don't know.
There's a rant I've gone on in past seminars where I talk about how like keto has been around since the 1800s,
Yes.
but people don't realize that because it just exploded very recently. So it has morphed into different versions of diets. So the Atkins diet, which was extremely popular, was a version of keto. And then everyone realized, cool, we're clogging our arteries by eating just sausage and bacon and cheese and all this stuff. So let's make it healthier. Let's call it the South Beach diet. So then we created the South Beach diet. And then CrossFit and paleo were born. They had a baby with each other. You had to be paleo in order to walk into a CrossFit. Otherwise, they were like, you're excommunicated from the cult. So then they realized, well, this is such a demanding way of exercising. We cannot sustain it on sweet potatoes alone unless we want to be on the toilet all day. So we'll allow you to have white rice. White rice is okay. But then white rice is not as good as brown rice. So now we have to have sushi with brown rice everywhere in America. And then people decided, well, right, white rice is okay because people in Japan live on it and they're not fat. Cool. So then it's like, all right, well, let's decide maybe we'll demonize protein next, because we've already said that fat was bad and then now it's good again. So we've added all the fat to the coffee and all our meals. So then protein's got to be bad somewhere. So we have to find a way to make protein bad. But then we'll just drink celery juice because that'll cure literally every decade has something that we've gone after that has swung the pendulum, just like cardio. Like, we can't call it aerobic work. We have to call it zone 2, because zone 2 is, people don't even know what the fuck zone 2 means, but they call it, I'm doing my zone 2. Well, cool. Like, if you ask somebody, well, what does that actually mean? I don't know. It's like the healthy cardio. Oh, you mean like what we tried to get people to do like back in 2009, but we decided, well, you just have to do high intensity because then you're fine, because if you go for a run, it'll make you fat.
Yep.
What in the fuck? Like, if you like paint it that way, you realize how ridiculous things sound. And I'm like,
zone 2.
Yeah.
People think it burns more fat.
That's great.
I think that's how it's spun.
Yeah,
and it does, but they don't understand the purpose behind it. So
right.
You actually have to be conditioned aerobically before you could even like annihilate your high intensity. But how many guys like doing boring aerobic work? They don't, but they don't understand the benefit. So I just tell them it's anabolic and it'll make you have better boners. Oh, I'm in. What do I got to do?
It's crazy. And that's that double-edged sword. Because like you said, like most people, like they want to get in shape from a aerobic standpoint, but they don't really want to do aerobics. Because most people are like, oh, well, I walk. Like that's fucking enough. Like we walk every day. Like you have to push that threshold. And even that zone 2 threshold is different from what people really think it is. Like end of the day, you got to do some damn work.
You do. I got destroyed on a podcast. This clip went viral because my social team clipped a part where I was talking about how we've become so obsessed with tracking steps and how like 20 years ago, we would never like tracking steps was not a thing. So I was trying to say how people will tell me I get 10,000 steps at work. I don't need cardio when that's actually just living. So I would say how we would be called complete dorks for tracking our steps 20, 30 years ago. And they clipped it in a way that made me sound like telling the world that if you track your steps, you're a dork. So of course I got like raked. And then I went on and I was like, forget it. It's not even worth it. But there was a lot of people that did agree with me that they're like, yeah, 10,000 steps is not cardio. Now it can be cardio to somebody who is getting 500 steps a day, is obese and needs to walk to the mailbox. Yes, that will have a cardio effect. But that does not mean that if you in your daily life or in your manual labor job are getting X amount of activity, that doesn't mean that that's enough for what you're trying to do. Doesn't mean that you're conditioned. It does not mean you're healthy. There's plenty of lean people who are not healthy. So yeah, I digress. Like I can go.
I just think the bar for health and fitness is just in hell. It's so low, and like people are still tripping on it, and it's insane because something like that shouldn't be bad to say. But I think we just give.
There's no argument.
We give praise for everything. I think we give praise for everything nowadays. So when you're telling somebody to like push themselves more than what they're doing at baseline, it's like, oh my God, I'm doing enough. And I think people just don't. Most people in the world don't have the drive to push themselves like that. And I think that's why we're seeing more of those things go viral as if it's wrong. But that leads me to my question with you working with like people who want more out of their performance, whether it's in training, in their careers, professional lives. How would you say getting in shape impacts your ability to succeed and like make more money and just be a better like leader in your field? Because I feel like that's the demographic that you're working with. So when you say things like that, you're probably attracting those people and repelling the people who don't want more out of their life.
It's because like I tell people, we will make you more money. And they're like, well, how? And I've said it on many videos where when somebody walks in a room who's fit looking, like the room stares. Everyone notices the person in the room that is fit, that has their shit together, that's disciplined, all of that. And when your belly enters the room before you do, your credibility has already been lost. And that hurts people. That hurts people that don't like the truth. But I was speaking to a group of high-level real estate agents last week in California, and I put two people up on a slide. One guy was a slob. His stomach was hanging well over his belt, sweating. He just looks unhealthy. Next to a guy who was fit. His shirt was fitted. He filled it out. He looked put together. And I said, who looks more trustworthy? Because people who look healthy and disciplined, they take care of themselves. They have priorities. They're going to be more trustworthy to get deals done. And you can argue with me on that all day long, and people will, and that's fine. But there's something to be said about having that commanding presence because it bleeds into business. And not only does feeling good in your own skin help you perform better, whether you're in a boardroom, you're on stage, you're closing a deal, that is going to project onto somebody without you having to say a word. Like, you don't have to say anything. They already feel it. They see it. And it's like this nonverbal way of communicating, like, I got you. I'll get it done. Because I don't know about you guys, but like, if somebody has just very poor hygiene habits, they look gross, like, I'm not going to trust them as much to do business with them as I would with somebody who has their shit together.
100%.
So that's what I say to them.
What are some real, if you can share like some real transformations of people you work with who have come to you feeling like low energy, and then they got their training, their like hormones in check, and what results did they see in their like professional life? Like, what are some tangible things that you could share? Because people, when you say stuff like that, people like think it's like, I guess like, I don't know the word, but like corny, fake, like just BS. But I wholeheartedly agree. So what are some things you can share about the people you work with? Like, what results have they seen? Like, not even from weight loss.
But before I share that, even statistically, like, there are studies done on this that men who are in shape earn 15% more than men who are not. So compound that on whatever you're earning now, add 15%. I don't think anyone would say no to that. But a lot of our guys, like, yes, they enjoy when they get a new vein or they need to buy, like, we get yelled at for buying new clothes all the time because guys have to get their high-end suits like taken in and buy new shit and all that stuff. But it's a good being yelled at experience. But they'll send us like selfies and they'll send us like, oh, I saw like, you know, my abs for the first time, blah, blah, blah. But we will get photos from guys in hotels in front of the mirror dressed to go into a meeting. And they're like, I fucking feel amazing going into this right now. And they just look the part and they feel so good in their clothes and their belt is not so tight. And like, they can see their dick. They look down and not their stomach. And like, they just overall show up better for their family, for their business. Like, guys feel this. They just don't talk about it, but they feel it. And
that's that manly man, right, that we were talking about from before. That's that warrior king or that provider or whatever you want to call it. That's the man that most women say that they're going for and looking for, that we don't have as much in today's society.
100%. And I even, like, you know, I say whatever on social now because I just don't care. I'll go at people. And I said, like, if you're accepting of your dad bod, you know, dad bod is kind of code word for I gave up, because a lot of guys will joke like, yeah, I have a dad bod. And I say, if your wife is accepting of your dad bod, but her hall pass is some jacked dude with a six pack, what do we think of that? And of course, that caused all these problems. Like, people are arguing and like, I'm the bad guy and all this stuff. I'm like, I'm just saying, like, if your wife would totally have a hall pass with somebody who's jacked and lean, why? That's all. I'm just asking a question. But of course, like, I'm the bad guy.
But the crazy part is, like, everything that you're saying and bringing to light is real shit. Because we all talk about it. Men talk about it in regards to women. Women talk about it in regards to men. Right? Everybody's like, oh, if I this and that and had a hall pass, I would. Because that is, you could say, dreamy or looks fun, all of that. Like, you're saying what other people just think.
I know. I have a toxic trait of doing that.
No, it's great. It's needed. I think it's needed in this world. I think on social media, I feel like you'll have better peace of mind on social media when you say what you mean. Obviously, you're gonna get the backlash at first, but they're probably gonna end up blocking you, and you're just gonna get more people that resonate with your message. Damn, I had a question. I have brain fog. Maybe I need some fucking tea. I don't know.
Some gorilla mind.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, can you tell us about? Yeah, I need that. I'm gonna try it.
GPC.
Can you tell us about Silverback Summit, how it came about, and like everything it is?
So Silverback Summit, which I have my shirt on from this year.
That's fire.
thank you. Having gone to multiple medical conferences and like a bazillion fitness conferences, I was like, all right, nobody puts them together in the same room. And there's none that are really driven to men's health. Like all of these conferences were very heavy on women's health topics, very light on men's health. So I was like, well, I guess if this event doesn't exist, I'll just create my own. And we just did our 4th year in a row where all the doctors that I've developed relationships with and trust in the men's health world, they come and speak. Same with the fitness industry. And then we've also added in entrepreneurs, business professionals, because medical and fitness pros, we don't learn how to run a business in school. We're not taught this. So we all need kind of the same help. Right. So I was like, well, we all have to collaborate with each other. So everybody who has a positive outlook on that, come to this and we'll all learn together. And that's kind of how it started. And so we had like 35 people the first year. We had like 300 this past November. So we're going to do it again next November in Orlando somewhere. But I wanted a place where guys could go to get the truth. Fitness professionals could talk to other medical pros and vice versa, because we do both need each other. We need to not alienate each other and demonize each other, because there are some very good practitioners in the men's health space, just like there are for the fitness industry. So we have a lot of fun. I mean, it's just completely unfiltered, unhinged. Like there's no rules. It's very Ali G. So we even talk about sex. Like it's awesome.
Shit, you're making me want to go. It's only men?
No, women, tons of women go as well, because there's a lot of female practitioners in the space.
That's dope. Do you ever get like, I feel like men are asked, why do you only work with women? Do you ever get women asking you, why do you only work with men?
No. I like the only time I get questioned on that is more like trolls that comment on ads that we run that are like, why would I trust a woman to get me in shape? And I just ignore them. But like, no
genuine questions.
No.
That's great.
Yeah. It's like I'll get like on podcasts, like how the hell did you get in men's health? But it's not, why dudes. Yeah. So
I like it.
Me too.
So
I was gonna ask, because a lot of people don't know the differences as far as like testosterone. You have intravenous, you have the pellets, and you have the cream. So what, for people that don't know, like what are the differences?
So injections are going to be the purest, easiest, most stable form or delivery method. There's people that don't like needles, or they just it has this like stigma attached to it because it comes in a needle, therefore it's steroids. But it's really the best way to get it in you. The next best delivery method would be the cream, but it would be the cream that is applied on the scrotum, because the skin there is much more permeable than on your arm or anywhere else. So for guys who don't like to deal with needles, or, there's certain things that would indicate that they do better on cream than injections, they can do the cream. There is a oral form of testosterone also called Kysotrex that works very well in younger guys or guys who are kind of borderline low T, or who want to try going on testosterone without committing to the injections, or who have not been on testosterone forever and then all of a sudden want to try oral. Like those are really the top 3 delivery methods that I would ever want somebody to go on. I would say 90% of our guys are on injections, and we have a few on cream, a few on oral. Pellets, troches, nasal sprays, like all these other delivery methods were developed because you can't really patent a hormone that the body makes. So these alternative delivery methods are ways to monetize it. So pellet therapy is very expensive. It's appealing because you just go in, get a pellet inserted or a few pellets inserted, and it lasts 6 months. But it's not as stable because everyone metabolizes it different. So you're kind of guessing. So you might need like 10 pellets, Dom. Somebody else might need 6. Someone might need 12. we have no idea. And then to change the dosage is very invasive. You got to go back in, get it inserted. You can't train for a few days. Like it's kind of a nightmare. So the only time that I would say pellets would be a good idea is if someone's getting deployed for 6 months and they can't travel and all that stuff. But it's anyone who has come to us on pellets have switched over to injections.
Okay.
So all the other ways are just more suboptimal ways. Like just get it in you. It's the best way.
Gotcha. Other than that, we're going to close out. Ali, do you have anything else you want to let the people know? If not, definitely want to let the people know where they can find you, what you have upcoming, your offerings and things like that. If people are interested in learning more about you, working with you, things like that, definitely going to have a part 2. But yeah, this was amazing. So before we go, just let the people know where they can find you, where they can reach you.
Instagram is going to be the easiest place at the Ali Gilbert, ALI. That's really where I spend my most time. If they are interested in our concierge one-on-one coaching or even our group coaching, ali-gilbert.com. That's my website. They can go there. That's really it.
Awesome. Well, once again, we thank you very much. This is Coach Dom with Coach Key, and this is the No BS Fitness Perspective Prescription Podcast. Ali Gilbert, once again, CEO of the Silverback Summit. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, guys.